Coming up, find out how much you need to bid to make this your backyard. Bidding for real estate. Yeah, well, actually, that does look like my backyard, except for the chairs. Okay, real estate. Next.
There's a new trend in real estate that's been popping up, and it is bidding for real estate. This weekend, Royal LePage will be holding an auction in Toronto for a Kennedy Wilson development in Muskoka. And for insight into cottage country real estate and this new process here, we are joined by Simon Giannini, who is a broker at Royal LePage. Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us. Very curious in terms of how long has this type of process in terms of the auctioning real estate been going on, and why this model? What's the advantage?
Well, auctions have been going on for thousands of years.
Right.
And if you know the Toronto real estate market, you know, if you're bidding on any home in any decent neighborhood in Toronto, it's an auction. Mm-hmm. It's a closed auction. It's not the traditional one with the gavel and the guy at the front, but it's at auction. And in a lot of ways, what we're doing is a lot more transparent and may alleviate some of the frustrations that buyers typically experience in a typical real estate auction in Toronto.
How long is this particular one that's up for auction here? How long has it been completed and up for sale? Well,
the project is actually Evanco Developments in Muskoka, right on Lake Muskoka. Mm-hmm. And we partnered with a company called Kennedy Wilson Auction Group out of California. Mm-hmm. And we've been working with Kennedy Wilson now for about a month, promoting it and letting people know about it and educating people. And the developments have been up for 2 years, and the process has been around for about 30 days now. And the auction itself is coming up on December 4th.
And how do you market this, and who are you expecting to come? How does that happen?
Well, we've got ads in the papers. Mm-hmm. We're getting a lot of traction online, a lot of interest. We've produced a couple of videos and radio spots and so on. But we're getting interest from everybody, anybody and everybody, from mom and pop beginning investors that were, thinking about a piece of Muskoka, to seasoned investors that, hey, this is a new thing, and they're excited by the whole notion of an auction.
Hmm. Has any of it been sold conventionally?
Of course, yeah. The development is part of, the block of units that we're selling actually is part of a three-phase project on Lake Muskoka, most of which has been already sold out. The remaining block of inventory, the owners, which is an investor group, one of the developers and other investors, decided, look, instead of keeping a sales office open and staffing it and marketing it for the next year and a half, why don't we discount the price, save that cost, put it out to the market and get fair market, get our money out of the investment. They've done well with it. Let's move on to the next project.
So from that perspective then, what type of money is actually saved by doing this process, and what discount then gets put into the price? What would be the starting bid for something like this?
It's a moving number all the time, mm-hmm. but if you look at maybe 10 or 15% of the sale price, this is what most developers are going to budget for marketing and sales and staffing and so on. So if you look at it that way, we're okay wholesaling the inventory out, saving that cost and getting it done quickly.
How is the health of the economy in the Muskoka region, generally speaking here? It seems to be a special case in that it's, well, people from Toronto who live there sometimes around the year, mm-hmm. year-round. So what's the health of the economy like?
Well, the Muskoka market took a little bit of a dip. If you look at the values of the high-end cottages, and if you know Lake Muskoka, it's $1 million entry level, so it's not for the typical buyer, not right. for the typical investor. But by all accounts, the economy is moving along just as well as it is in the city of Toronto. Ironically, what we're seeing is a lot of people from Toronto looking at this as an investment in the Muskoka area, simply because there's more people here, more opportunity.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. And this type of investment compares to some of the cottages up there in what respect?
Well, they're really two different things, because the bulk of the units that we're selling are investment condos. They're part of a condo hotel, and investors can get returns of anywhere from 4 to 8% depending on the purchase price. But it's a turnkey investment because you have one of the world's largest hotel chains as your tenant for the next 50 years. Mm-hmm. Turnkey, no management, no repairs, no maintenance. And some people like that.
Wow. Yeah. So there is more. Are you seeing more of an appeal for that? I mean, are you seeing a transition in terms of people really wanting that, just the turnkey, not having to paint any decks like I've done?
I've often been heard to say that Canadians are conservative and chicken, and when it comes to investments, a lot of people are hesitant to get involved in real estate investing because of the concern about management. So here's an example where there's no management required. The return is fairly straightforward. And you have the added benefit of 35 days use a year with each one of these purchases. So it's kind of an investment and a personal use component mixed together, and we don't see that very often.
Okay.
So this is December the 4th.
It is.
Sunday.
Yeah.
Good day to make
Good.
a trip. Take a road trip.
Yeah.
Well, actually, the auction itself is at the Harbor Castle Hotel.
At the Harbor Castle.
Yep, and ton of information at Muskoka Auction.com. We've got photos and all the pricing and so on. And I think the key, if you're going to be participating in an auction, is know the inventory, know the product, know exactly what you're buying, as you would with anything else.
Right. Great. Sounds very exciting.
Thank you
Very
for coming
interesting.
in.
Thank you very much
My
for
pleasure.
coming in. Simon Giannini, broker at Royal LePage.